Greetings, everyone. Today is April 23 to 2025 in most countries in the world, at least. I'm your host, Stark, and this is the Evan Cities Weekly Podcast, episode 15. Episode 15 on season 2. And now that I realize that we are doing a weekly episode, and we've missed it like once ever since we started season 2, which was early in January somewhere. I don't remember exactly the day, but it makes me realize we're only at episode 15. It feels like season 2 have been going on for years, and puts it in perspective when episodes like big running shows like WWE and I don't know, The Simpsons or whatnot. It really puts in perspective how much work and how much time and how many years go into shows like that. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, we're not here to talk Simpsons. We're here to talk Hentai, more specifically about Evan Studios. So let's start by getting this out of the way. Next week, obviously, since the release date for Journey Raw new patch is for Wednesday, there's a strong possibility that if we actually release on day, which no reason to think we can't, but a couple of things might happen. We might need a little extra time. Hopefully not, but if that's the case, we will do the podcast on the day. But for most odds, we will release on the day, which means we're going to be using most of the day to finish up stuff, and we want to spend the most of the time this week working on the game. So there's a chance we might have to delay the podcast for Thursday if that's the case. For obvious reasons, we basically just want to be focusing on the game and testing and whatever, and use every little bit of time that we can to improve the quality of the game at this point in the development, which is what you can call like the early game of development. It's incredibly important. Everything is details, everything is scripts, everything is there's a lot of work behind what players actually see. There's a lot of trial and error and testing. For instance, something that we were experimenting with in Journey Abroad had some issues, and we decided to scrape it off from the game entirely. So back in Fleeting Iris, when we started doing Fleeting Iris like many years ago, we originally intended to have some mirrored surfaces, such as the water in the park. When you went to the casino, the outside of the casino will, it's glass, so it will reflect your character when it walks, when it approaches the glass and whatever. And at the time, this was removed because it had incompatibilities with a bunch of scripts that we had, and we didn't have at the time competent scripters. We have been through two actually pretty decent ones. Well, one decent, one amazing one afterwards. Which could probably solve the incompatibility issues, for sure. I think it was incompatibility issues with our light script, with the lights turning off and whatnot. And at the time, we had to decide between which one we thought would add more to the game, and obviously the choice was the light script. So basically seeing the lamps on and whatnot during the day, or having like a day-night cycle and whatnot. And obviously we went for the obvious choice, which was keep the light script and just go with like, well, too bad, you're all vampires now. So this time around, we actually have good scripters, and we thought, okay, let's revisit this idea. So especially in the university, we want to make this cool contrast in which during the day you see the reflection of yourself in most of the windows in the university, and obviously we will use the same in some other surfaces, regardless if it was mirrors, regardless if it was just like reflective surfaces outside, water, whatever, anything that could reflect you, we were planning on using it. And at nighttime, we will have some offices in the university and whatnot where after the lights become on, you'll literally see through it. So basically you will see what will be happening inside the house. And I think in the tech demo for Journey Abroad, I explained the idea and what happens in that sense. I think we even had a picture where you actually can see Dan and Ayame having sex inside the classroom. And we thought the idea was really cool, but we're gonna have to scrape it from the game, a part of it at least. So having the windows have two stages in which during the day you actually see kind of like a reflection, but what you're going to be seeing is not a reflection. It's a painted reflection. It's an illusion of a reflection. It's basically just whatever is in front of it, we're going to reverse it, put it in the mirror, and that's going to be it. It's not going to be a true mirror. And during the night, we will also substitute the tile set, which means you will be able to see through it, and you will be able to see things through the mirror. This part is actually easily doable. Now, the part with the mirroring, it's basically just have to add the script to the game. It's also very doable. And we have our scripter take a look at the script, improve it a little bit to make it a little less taxing, and make it compatible with everything else that we have. Our own message log, which we added to the game. Basically, every other script that we have been creating personally for Journey Abroad and Bloodlust. Basically, for Evan Studios, everything that is pertaining to RPG Maker MV, which we will be able to use across all of our games. And honestly, our scripts are so well. We are going to be sharing them with fellow devs in the community, like our animation script, the message log script, the save anywhere script. Basically, we have a bunch of ideas that are so cool that we believe it will be unfair to keep it to ourselves. And not just like the animation script, for instance. It was done by Michael Cross, and it's pretty much amazing. Anything that you can animate and want to animate regarding RPG Maker MV, that's by far the best script in the market. And there's a bunch of other scripts that are absolutely insane. There are things that are so good that they should ship with RPG Maker MV. Unfortunately, for you to have a great idea, you have it both can be the same person, but usually you need to have someone with a vision and someone that can materialize the vision, which is in some cases here what we did. And unfortunately, in the community, there's people that have the idea but lack the means to do it, and there's people that have the means to do it but lack the ideas. And we created some scripts that honestly should just ship with RPG Maker MV. They're absolutely amazing, and we are obviously considering making them public. We could keep most of these scripts to ourselves and make our game just shine more than the others because of all the little details like this. But honestly, I believe that you should shine through the quality of your work, not just because you're hogging resources. Which means we're probably going to make all of our resources public, which is, I've read a little bit of what people said in the chat. I will address it in a second. I will also do the roll call in a second. Just want to get this out of the way. So basically, we're going to make these resources available publicly, and the reason why I say obviously is because people know me at this point, and they know us, and they know, our ethics and our morals and whatnot. So this is something that my cat obviously wanted to participate in the podcast. You can't, baby. Sorry. So this is something that is pretty obvious to us. We're not just gonna like hog the resources and be like, haha, we were able to solve problems that no one else could. I think that's completely stupid. So yeah, we're gonna make the resources public when it comes to this. We want to shine through other methods. We want to shine through the quality of our game. We want to shine through our vision. We want to shine through the dialogue, the settings, the quality of the entire scenes. We want to shine on quality, not because we're gatekeeping stuff that should belong to humanity, the humanity of developers. Where was I going with this? Oh, so here's the problem. Evan Studios also always was for everyone. When we make scenes, we want to make scenes for everyone. Yes, we know that most people won't like the entirety of Fleeting Iris, but we wanted to make something for everyone. Like someone will play the game in like the Clark route, others will play the game in like the Jack route, the family route, the swingers route, whatever it was. We wanted to have something for everyone. We know it's almost impossible to please Greeks and Trojans, and that is incredibly true for a lot of the things in the game, and the same is happening right now in Journey Abroad, which I also hope I'll remember so I can address it. But basically, what the problem is, Journey Abroad has the resolution that it has for a very specific reason. A lot of people can look at the 1440 by 960 and go, why go with something that is not like native, so to say, because it's not a 1280 by 960. It's not a 1980 by 1080 or 1080p. How people call it. It's not natural, and the reason is that's the biggest resolution you can have by fitting a 15-inch screen. And granted, you can use methods to increase the size of the screen and whatnot. But what we are doing with that is that we are trying to make the game look as good as it can without being too taxing on old computers and people that have smaller screens or are playing on 15-inch laptops and stuff like that. Because we want to make our game available to the broader amount of people that we can, because we feel that people should be able to enjoy our game. And that holds true for the mirror script. There's a couple scripts that we've tried to add to the game in due time, but generally we stray away from them because they are incredibly taxing. They're incredibly taxing on machines. Even sometimes in I wouldn't say on high-end machines, but middle end, something that was high-end like 4 years ago, it ends up being incredibly taxing. So if we add the mirroring, and there's a lot of things going on and being mirrored in the map at the same time, you're gonna lag. And yeah, the lag is going to lower the quality of the experience a lot. And I think the trade-off, which is basically just having your characters being mirrored in reflective surfaces, is not worth making a lot of people just lag out of control. And I know that there were a few scripts that when the Steam version of Fleeting Iris was released in China, the Chinese version, a lot of really old computers were struggling with the game, and the game kept crashing, and we got a bunch of bad reviews because this was in part created by Kagura Games and whatnot, the bug. And basically we were just telling people, listen, that bug is because the game has this and this and this and this feature, and you guys didn't see the minimum requirements. It's crashing because you can't handle it. And people don't care. We got review bombed on Steam, and for people that don't know, that's exactly how we got review bombed on Steam in general. It was mostly China, and it was because of that reason. We are not afraid of that. That's something that can always happen, and we are not going to be coding around it. We wouldn't have done things in Fleeting Iris just for the sake of you guys didn't read the requirements and whatnot. But it does pain us that a lot of people that support our game are not able to play it properly. So when something is so obviously hindering to the game, like the reflective surfaces, which I didn't notice it was a problem in any of my computers because they are relatively recent, we have noticed that it has very taxing properties in older machines, in laptops and whatnot. And as such, we have decided to move away from the reflective surfaces, not services. And yeah, and there you go. Developing 101, you can devote a lot of time to do something, creating assets for something, and then voila, Overruled. Womp womp. Dream deferred. How you doing, everybody? I'm gonna go back to this in design choices in a second, but first I want to do a roll call. Casfan is back. What up, Casfan? Foster is here another week. Howdy, everyone. Zerker is new, as far as I know. I didn't even know this will happen today. This happens every Wednesday, but for the most part, Zerker, welcome to the podcast. Shortcut is here again today. Yeah, I forgot this was on. Yeah, I need to start warning people earlier on in the day, but today Isaac was at the office and we were trying to make the most out of it and basically spend a lot of time working. Errol G is also new at the shed, as far as I know. He has a question. I'll get to you in a second. Vincent Perino and Mark Nash. What up, guys? Ariane, last but not least. What's up, bro? Errol G asks, is Fleeting Iris done? Was there a lifeguard route? I haven't checked the notification. Sorry if it's off topic. Hey, Harold. There was a pre-lifeguard route, which is basically I am hanging out with the lifeguard. We had the lifeguard kind of like little DLC planned, but we had a few incentive goals on Patreon while Fleeting Iris was being developed, and we didn't meet them. So basically, a lot of routes weren't completed, which were like goal routes, and as such, she never had a true lifeguard route. It's something that can come with the future, but obviously we need financial support to be able to do that, because right now we're focused on Bloodlust and Journey Abroad, and we're already spread thin as it is. So if we need to go back and work on Fleeting Iris in the future, we need more resources to hire more people and be able to delegate certain parts of the work to those people that we don't have yet. So that's pretty much the short answer for that. That fan also said something. I hope Stark already have IAMI copyrighted and registered by then. I would love to see IAMI in AAA 3D and tie game. So here's something that you probably don't know. Anything that you do online that is intellectual property, believe it or not, is automatically copyrighted. If you can prove that you are the creator of something by showing a previous version of the character with an older date, if you can legally prove that you were the inventor of something, you don't need to copyright stuff. That's a misconception that people have. Copyrights do other things and allow you to be a little bit more aggressive and more cutthroat when it comes to protecting your intellectual property. But anything that you do, if you write a poem and put it on Facebook, if you write a song, it's so powerful. The power of being allowed ownership of anything that you create is so powerful that in cases where university goes, if you become a student of this university, everything you do in university grounds with university resources, whatever, becomes part of the university. You can sign that, go to court, and you're still going to beat them. In most cases, you're still going to beat them. Law takes ownership and propriety very seriously. And we do have copyrights for things like the design of our characters in Fleeting Iris. We do have copyright of the name Fleeting Iris. And we weren't able to copyright Evan Studios globally. We have Evan Studios and Thai Group in Portugal. We do have a few copyrights which allows us to be a little bit more cutthroat when it comes to these things. But if you can prove you're the owner, if you're the inventor of something, if you put something online, and if there's records of you creating that thing, you can sue the person anyway. Copyright doesn't work how most people think it does. And intellectual property is innately yours as soon as you invent something. Obviously, you can't, it needs to be brandable. You can't just make a stick figure and go, haha, now all stick figures belong to me. You can't do that. Especially if you want to do a patent or a copyright on things that already exist, it's incredibly difficult. You need to have like a strong brand. It needs to be always this yours, or there's a lot of things there. But in generally speaking, anything that you do online is innately yours. It's copyrighted as soon as it is internet, as long as there's records of you creating that stuff. So there you go. We learned something. The part of where you will love to see IAME in a AAA 3D entire game. Well, let's discuss terms. Are there any AAA and Thai studios? What do we consider AAA? What do we even consider AAA? It's basically it's on scale. Is it on scale? Like if there's people spending billions on games, suddenly the people that spend multiple millions are no longer AAA. What is the minimum? What is Usually we're talking budgets, right? We never really define the terms, because initially someone that was spending a couple million was considered AAA. Everybody else is indie. Everybody else is spending a few thousand, maybe 100,000, six figures on a game, and they will be considered AAA. Then after that it was millions. After that it was tens of millions, and now it's even hundreds of millions. You can literally spend hundreds of millions in games, maybe even billions. I don't know how much GA6 costs to create, and they're probably going to get everything back. Like, if you're going to make 10 billion back, who cares if you invest a billion? So what is even AAA nowadays? And we're talking about in general, or we talk about like, because when you say AAA, I'm thinking only a few specific publishers. We're talking about like Rockstar Games, Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Bethesda. That's what I consider AAA nowadays. But obviously that's in scale with other regular or non-adult gaming companies. I think, and this is just me, I don't think there's a single AAA in general gaming company making entire games. So are we talking the AAA of entire games? Like when you compare the budget of a certain team in comparison to like Fleeting Guys, what are the AAA teams? Is the guys from Summertime Saga that are making like $80,000 a month, and they've been developing for, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know how long Summertime Saga has been has been out for. But let's say that they've been out for 4 years, okay? If they've been out for 4 years and they're making $80,000 a month, right? So after a year, they're going to be making close to $1 million. So if the year was 10 months, there'll be 800,000. But you need to add 2 other months, so it's another 160. So that's 960,000 in a year. And after the course of 4 years, that's probably like 3.9 million that they made. Well, afterwards you have taxes and whatnot, but let's say that they make clear cut 2 million and they invest most of that in back into the game. Is that AAA then? So, I would also love to see IAME in AAA 3D entire games, but what is AAA? Who are those studios? And if those studios want to have IAME in their games, I have given permission for people to use IAME in the past. You can find IAME in games like Officer Chloe, which unfortunately Key stopped. He quit being a dev. It just disappeared one day. Recently, we have allowed IAME to be in a game called Laura's Lustful Adventures, created by a friend of mine called Dark Anu. So even though I am, and I did this completely for free. I didn't ask anyone to I didn't ask him to pay me or give me anything. They just like obviously we were a huge influence directly in some developers. We've had quite a few developers literally telling this to us, and we have seen our influence in other games. We have seen games like there's a famous game nowadays which is called like NTR Online, which is like a mock-up of like Sword Art Online and whatever. And when the game started, the guy was using a bunch of our assets, and he had our assets in the game and whatnot. So clearly, there's an influence there, and a lot of people came to us to say, "Hey man, listen, I really love your game. You were a huge influence in making mine." Blah 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 blah. And people just say, "Listen, it will be okay if I use your characters in our game." And obviously, some terms are established, like you can use it for as long as you want. You can just, it's not yours now. But yeah. If I play the game, if I feel like the dev is passionate, if he's in it for the right reasons and whatnot, and they ask me to use the character in like a couple patches, and if they make justice to the character, why not? I don't ask anything in return. They just wanted to do something, and I was like, listen, community, hey, there's something that you can play, or something that you can enjoy. Someone else is doing something out of love, out of passion, for the right reasons. So why not? So if a company asked me to add I Am It to their game, or any other of our characters to their game, if it was for the right reasons, just to share with the community, and I don't know why, I will agree. I won't even ask money in return. I feel like sharing is caring, especially when it comes to the entire community, which is a community that has been ostracized very hard online, more particularly if there's anti-community. It's even worse. It's being like oppressed inside your own community, because people already look to anti in a negative light. We are attacked by religious convictions, by governments, credit card companies. Anti is already being attacked because, oh no, it's evil and you should stop. Suddenly escapism is evil. You're going to see a character being forced a little bit in game and suddenly become the rapist. Just like you do stuff in GTA, and then you go like, ooh, nice, my father has a katana, let me go outside and start cutting people's heads off. There is a correlation there. And for those that don't get it, I'm being completely ironic. This is complete sarcasm, guys. I'm not serious. So yeah, anti is attacked the same way games like GTA are attacked. My 8-year-old played GTA and now he's aggressive. Well, maybe your character, your son was already aggressive. Maybe he's a douchebag, and maybe most of it is because of you. Why did you let your son play GTA to begin with? At the start of Fleeting Iris, there's a big ass disclaimer telling you that you need to be 18 years old or at least legal in the country that you are to play the game. Why did you press yes? But people hate being responsibilized, or for their actions. People don't like to be held accountable. So yeah, so in a community that is already so attacked and viewed in such a negative light, like the entire community, be the union, not the person who splits it. So yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot of people in common that like to play Fleeting Iris and Laura's Lustful Adventures that will have oh nice, I am in the game, So why be an asshole? Like, yeah, sure, you can add her, but our fans are going to play your game because my character is in it, so that month you need to give me a percentage of the profits. Like, who the fuck does that? I guess that's why we're not AAA companies, but if that's the price to be AAA, you can shove it. Anyway, Vincent asks, is there a reason why you guys went to Kagura Games to release Fleeting Iris on Steam instead of just releasing it yourselves? Not sure how releasing a game on Steam works. There were a lot of reasons at the time, and we explained them all, but basically, I've met the owner of Kagura Games before it was Kagura Games. I met Rakushun when he was just a translator translating games. Eventually, he started doing a Patreon and being paid on Patreon to translate games, and he will let people vote on the next game that he will translate. And eventually, he started hiring other people, and eventually created Kagura Games, which was initially a localization company that will grab Japanese and Chinese games, translate it to English, and help facilitate developers releasing their games on Steam. That was how Kagura Games was born. I was already a friend with Rakshan, and it kind of made me promise that I will release our game through them. And at the time, Kagura Games had a lot of they're probably like one of if not the biggest Intai publisher for RPG Maker and Intai games and whatnot. But mostly they were a localization team, and I think ours was the first Western game being released on Kagura Games, and I'm on and reverse translated. It was reversed from English to Chinese, and instead of the reverse. And it was the first game, and I'm honestly not entirely sure, but I think it's still the only game that was a Western game being reverse translated to Chinese. Kagura Games is, for the most part, a localization team from Chinese and Japanese to English. So that was one of the initial reasons, was because I promised. Then there were a bunch of other reasons, which legally I'm not even sure that I can talk about it, but I'm a man of my word, regardless if it is what it is. And I made a promise, and we worked with them, and it was not all beautiful, but people are human, people are entitled to fail, and the problem is that Rakushin now has a very not present position in the company. Basically, now all he does is collect money. He basically made the company work for himself, and he has other people in front of the company and whatnot. So it is what it is. That's one of the reasons why we worked on why we released our games through Kagura Games. That's pretty much the main reason. So, Jesus, where were we? We already talked about so many things. I remember that I wanted to say, I was talking about something early in the podcast that I said I need to touch on this subject later down the road. Who cares? Anyway, Journey Abroad. Right now in Journey Abroad we're having a dilemma, and I know a lot of people do say, "Oh, yeah, the part where we can please Greeks and Trojans." We're going to get to that right now. One of the things that we can, so this in parts, this just gives you an idea. A few days ago, one of our patrons arrived on our Discord and told us that the team that created Fleeting Ares was working on Bloodlust, and there was a different team working Journey Abroad. And this person also said the art in Fleeting Ares / Bloodlust is superior, the other art is bad. And I ask, okay, well, why do you think it's bad? And it's just like, it's just subjectively bad. I don't like any of the girls, any of the top 3 girls. I don't find them attractive. I don't like their faces. I don't like their squinted eyes. I don't like that arrogant look. And he told me, and the last part was, I hope you might reconsider this style, which is pretty much just grabbing, Scarlet and style and just go, hey, remember your style? Do a different style. Obviously, opinions are opinions, and art is subjective and whatnot. But needless to say, I instantly thought, yeah, that's not going to happen. Scarlet Land has a lot of fans. I'm sure that there's going to be people that like, and I'm sure there's going to be people that don't like. I'm sure that there's going to be like a lot of criticism and a lot of praise. But you gotta keep going. If you try to please everyone, you're going to end up with a game that no one enjoys. That's how it always ends. And that also happened in Fleeting Ares early game. I've been accused of everything, of dragging the early game for too long. I've been accused of making the entire scenes happen too fast. There's no world build up. I've been accused of both things, like literally things that are completely paradoxical, like they can't coexist at the same time. And I've been accused of basically anything that has to do with the pace of the game. I've been accused of all the all the options, everything. The it's too slow. The entire scenes are early game are a slow burn. Whatever. I've heard everything. So I also heard, and this came when we were doing the design of the characters. And this part I took it to heart. When people give me criticism, constructive criticism mostly, not just I don't like it. So I hope you you take another look at it. In this case, when people offer me criticism, sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I adjust things slightly, but in this case, I took it to heart, and I thought that people were right. And this was when we were creating the suits for Evelyn, and everybody knows at this point what I'm talking about. I think it was specifically Shortcut who said, "Don't go down the rabbit hole of trying to make things realistic in an entire game. It just needs to be sexy. And if you focus too much on realism, you're going to cut away a lot of things that could be great in a game. There's a lot of loss there. It's basically like, when you go there, it's a slippery slope." And there are massive upvotes for that specific post. And the community was loud and clear, and I listened to that, and I was like, they are absolutely right. They are absolutely right. I'm not going to make a character look less appealing, less sexy, just for the sake of, oh, look, but it's realistic. And it was great criticism. Great criticism. We were in a dilemma at the time. We were struggling with some of the design choices. And that was incredibly liberating. It was like, no, he's fucking right. Let's just grab something. Hey, no, it needs to be sexy. It's an entire game. Okay, sexy first, realism second. And luckily, we were able to compromise with an idea. The problem is, Journey Abroad is the same thing, and it's going through the same thing. Oh, give me just a second. Terribly sorry, cat was stuck. So, Journey Abroad is the same thing. There are a few key moments in Journey Abroad that are going to catapult the game, like right away. The problem is having all those events happening in the first week, which is kind of like what we want to portray in the first patch, which is the first week. Having all those events happening in the first week will be incredibly unrealistic. Like, incredible. Like, lightning struck this guy and all these things happened to him. And I do feel like realism per se, but, just tell your story. But there's a few things that if I add to the game is going to have more entire scenes right from the get-go. But the narrative will be so accelerated to a point where it's like, when something happens in a show or a movie or whatever, and you instantly feel like, oh right, how convenient. Of course this happened. That's how I feel about some of the some of the dilemmas that we're going through right now. The three scenes that I feel like propel the game right away is one of I'm going to put some of them in the game, but I can't put all of them in the game. It will be like, it will be an insult from myself to myself. Like, no, I'm sure this could happen. Initially, there's going to be a few key moments. One, you're going to find a job. You're going to find a job in a clothing store, and one of the biggest antagonists in the game is going to go into the store with their friends, and they're going to shoplift. Basically, you're going to catch her in the act, and in order to buy your silence, she gives you a very she gives you a nice time in the back rooms. Through some means, which I'm not going to spoil. I think I already did in the past, but something happens. Okay, so sure, she's a shoplifter. whatever, Winona Ryder, just, okay, that happened, cool. The problem is, he also finds out that one of his coworkers is a cosplayer, does OnlyFans. And while he's on the computer, he eventually finds out about that. And then there's other like events that can happen, like he finds out that a person in the game is a stripper. So he goes to a strip club with a friend, and he finds out that one of the characters is a stripper. And there's other things that kickstart some of the routes. There are some events that kickstart some of the routes. And I wanted to spread out those events. I don't want to make a slow burn. I don't want to make a game that has no end time for like 10 patches straight. That's not what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm saying this is that there have been people that have been concerned that that could have been the case. Okay? That is not the case. I don't want to like make a slow burn for 10 patches, but I want like to initiate 2 of those events tops per week. Because if there's way too much stuff happening, it starts being borderline unrealistic to everything is too convenient. Oh, of course this happened. We needed to push this narrative. Oh, of course this happened. They needed to push this narrative. And I feel like most people will say, who gives a fuck about the thread between, the line between this is realistic and this, you know, the odds of this happening are incredibly small. And we could just add everything and go like everything is happening everywhere all at once. Or we can try to make a narrative that is somewhat realistic and we kind of pace these things out. And honestly, as a developer, and since we can please anyone, but I'm entirely sure that I will please more people by just adding more anti, even if it doesn't make sense. And especially because the game is... Okay, if you're a female MC, okay, main character, for those that don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but when you're a female MC and you're a gorgeous woman, it's not unrealistic to think that harassment and people being, you know, approaching you is going to come out of everywhere. You know, when you're a sexy woman, I'm sure people approach you in, everybody thinks they can get a piece. Hey, can I get your number? People at your job, people in the street, people in all different places. And that's realistic. If you're a gorgeous woman like Ayame is in Fleeting Iris, it's normal that everybody's trying to get a piece of Ayame. Her bosses, or co-workers, the cops, the perverts in the park. That's normal. For Journey Abroad, you're a male main character, and it will be kind of weird, at least initially, with the information that you have, that a lot of characters are just falling for you for no reason and whatnot. And this will also, in my personal opinion, lower the character of the characters that you want to have relationships with, in a sense that part of the game, even though people are there to watch hentai, I believe that part of the game is the conquest. That's part of, you know, the same. In real life, it's the same thing. If a woman is too easy, you know, she might be an incredible person that was just looking for the right guy, and you might end up actually being the right guy. That is a possible narrative. However, you know, when you have to work really hard for a woman that makes men work hard to have a chance to be with her and whatever, it feels all the better, you know. And I feel like some difficulty and some getting to know the characters in some events, I feel like they increase the character of some of the characters and make it so that when you are able to get with the characters to feel better, like, damn, it finally happened. I was finally able to get through to her. I was finally able to nail this chick, whatever. And I did say that I wanted to make Journey Abroad like a slice of life / life sim. And there's a bunch of events that if I thought that, okay, so if I add all of these happening in the first week, the game is going to be incredibly unrealistic. So I want the days to be incredibly eventful. There's a lot of stuff happening, especially early on. You're meeting a bunch of new characters. That's what I want to happen in the first week of gameplay. I want you to be able to meet most of the characters. like let's say the roster as like 30 characters. I want you to be able to meet like 25 of them at least, or at least the 25 that we have designed to this moment. There's plans to add more characters later down the road with cooler new designs and whatnot. But we want to focus this part of the game where you increase your family relationships, you increase your life in life in school, you meet your teachers, you meet your fellow students, you try to get a job and whatever. So we want to focus a little bit on the mechanics, and we want to add a little bit of the anti. And we just thought like, okay, let's not add everything. Let's decide which ones we're going to add the first week. Let's decide which ones we're going to add like the second week. Let's decide. So spreading these events out a little bit will make the game feel a lot more realistic and a lot more make the events feel more impactful. Not just like everything is being thrown at you. It's like pussy from every angle, and you know you're just this chick magnet, and that's not the game that we're going for. So that's pretty much it at this point. We want to pace our game. We want to add like a maximum of 3 anti-scenes per patch, maybe 5, and we want to do this by focusing on the quality instead of like just sheer numbers, just throwing anti from every corner. Obviously, later down the road, when you have relationships with a bunch of different characters, and you can improve your relationship with a bunch of different characters and whatnot, this is going to be more apparent. It's going to be happening a lot more. But we just don't want to storm the player with everything is anti, everybody's trying to get at you. I feel like this will dull the experience in the bigger picture. We do, however, have a few anti-scenes planned for the first patch. But that's pretty much it. We're just trying to pace ourselves to make the story slightly realistic. Because in the first week, having the chick that you're trying to get to in school shoplift specifically at your store, and you catching her, and then someone inviting you to a party where she will be there, and you start working on a job, and in the same day you happen to find pictures of the girl that works with you doing OnlyFans. Like, if all of this happens in quick succession, and oh, by the way, you go to a strip club, and guess what? One of the very few people that you know in this town actually happens to work there as in a secret. Like, if all of this happens early game, it's like, isn't this a little too convenient? And again, I understand the point of the slippery slope of being realistic. Like, why do you care about odds? It's an entire game. But I feel like there's a threshold to that. After this, it's like, okay, you can't even take this seriously. It's like the universe loves this guy. Obviously, it's a design choice, and early on, we will probably do better if we just started adding gratuitous anti to the game for no reason. But I don't think, honestly, that's not the game that I want to work on. That's all there is. But I do understand when people say, hey man, if you're going to be stuck in developer hell, or the series might end and we might never see what happens to these characters. Like, we've had that happen to us in a bunch of games. I remember like Project Miriam, I think that was the name of the game, and like A Wife and a Mother, and Jessica O'Neill and whatever, and people been working on those games or abandoned those games after working on those games for 4 years, 5 years, and we're still like, dude, it's like year 2, and all she did was give like the boyfriend the hand job. Like, I understand how people have been slow burned before, and I can assure you, I can give you my word, this is not what we're trying to do with Journey Abroad. Like, I literally have no downsides. I have like 30 anti-scenes done and animated beforehand. I have them all in my computer right now. I could literally just have them all in one patch. But it will be like sensory overload. It will be like too much going on for no reason. Sure, it will be a great game if you are looking for, a scene viewer where shit just happens for no reason and you're just having sex with everyone for whatever. But I feel like that's something that can naturally happen late game when you're, in deeper relationships with all of these characters. But early game, if everything feels like too convenient, I don't know. For me, it's a turnoff. For me, it's like, make the story at least somewhat believable. Like, I've had some of the things that happen in Fleeting Iris be like, come on, man, what are the odds that this happens? What are the odds that this happens in this specific period? Like, Fujiko going in the street and meeting Robert for the first time when the kiss happens and whatnot. There's a few things that it's like, oh, okay, no, this obviously this could happen. But there have been a few events that I've not done in the game where it's like, oh, of course this character and this character meet in this day for this specific reason and this like, when you become too specific about scenes and the odds are completely against you, but you're like, no, it's an entire game, so obviously this happened. I don't know, man. For me personally, I don't know about you guys. I would love to see what you guys think about this. As usual, I love your criticism. That's why I'm also very, encouraging when it goes to tell you guys to share your feedback with us. When it was to Fleeting Iris, when it was about Fleeting Iris EF, like your criticism means a lot to us. I read a lot of it, and I take a lot of it, and I've made drastic changes in our games because of supporters giving us feedback. It's not like it falls in deaf ears at all. So I would love to see what's your take on this whole situation, in this whole dilemma. It is what it is. Like, people want to see more anti, and I definitely want to deliver. But at what point do you want to make everything very facilitated, like Ritush's sex, like it just happened because, the universe is all in your favor? I don't know. And obviously at this point it's like a week before the release, and I think that I touched this subject for the first time like last week. It's tough. It's a rough dilemma. It's not a nice spot to be on. But at the end of the day, I've known what I've wanted to. I've wanted to write the game for a long time now. But now suddenly, voices with different opinions are making me kind of like second guess what I've decided. I don't know. I feel like being able to adapt, the diversity is the spice of life type thing in this case. It's always good to hear different opinions, and I've always been the type of person. I'm 40. Like, people will think that I will be set in my ways, and everything I say, it's almost like written in stone, and But I think that I'm a very adaptable person, and it goes to everything. I hate making top 10s or top 5s of Mount Rushmores of anything, regardless if it's anime, regardless if it's food. Like, I love Italian food, but I also love Mexican food, and I also love Japanese and Chinese and French pastry, and I love it all. Which one is your favorite? Why do I have to have a favorite? Why can't I fucking just enjoy it all? Why can't I like pop and rock and hip hop and all of that stuff? And when it comes to games, you will think that I will be more set in my ways. Like, I like this and I dislike that, and I'm just not that type of person. I'm very influenceable. When it's things that where I believe that I should listen to others, I listen. I'm set in my ways on some things, but I think that in these things you need to be mutable. You need to be able to adapt, to listen, to to improve. Oh, short, you say, I agree with your take. Everything all at once in the beginning always feels strange. Yeah, I also understand that you guys are, scared that I might be slow burning. I'm not gonna do that. This is a snowball. I'm just asking you guys to cope with us while we're pushing a very small snowball. But once this shit starts going down the hill, and suddenly you're giving your mom a massage, and suddenly your sister is giving you sexual favors for homework or for money, or because she's drunk, and the chick that hated you in school now has kind of like a love-hate relationship with you, and your coworker starts doing cosplay things with you because it improves her OnlyFans account. And once all these things start happening and snowballing, it's going to be like Fleeting Iris. Like every patch, it's going to be like, we advance this, in this route. You can go meet this, and this character. They all have new scenes for you. And, I'm sure that once it snowballs, people are going to be like, yeah, it was worth the wait. And listen, we want facilitism. I don't even know if this is a word, but let's be honest about things. Who the fuck is anyone to say that's not a word? When people say, oh, that's a made up word. Well, guess what? Every word was fucking made up. So why can you make up a word and I can't make up a word if my word has a basis on somewhere? I've said words and people said that doesn't exist. Yeah, but this is an amalgamation of this word, and it makes total sense. So at some point it might catch up, and if it catches up, motherfucker, it's now a word. So, grammar Nazis are a little bit too, I get it that it's a sign of intelligence to be able to memorize a big chunk of grammatical rules and whatever it is. I get it. I understand. It's sexy, but it's sexy sometimes for the wrong reasons on the wrong point. And I think that this podcast is unprofessional enough, and I say this in a good way. At least I think it's a good way. It's not edited. It's not adulterated to look better. It's raw. And we make up words here. So if facilitism isn't a word in English, it is now. And we want to make a lot of things easier for the player. You want to skip the first few days of gameplay? Boom, got it. You want to be able to teleport directly from your room to the outside, to the outside of your house, because you want to it takes you 10 seconds to go downstairs and walk out of the house, and you don't want to do that 100 times because it adds up. Boom, you got it. You don't know what are the rooms that you can go to? Guess what? In our game, there's a button. And this button in your keyboard, you press it, and guess what happens? Everything in your game is gonna light up. If there's a passage that is hidden because it's hidden behind something, there's gonna be a yellow arrow in there. If you can walk inside a different room inside the same building, there's gonna be a green arrow there. If you can walk outside of a building through a certain door, boom, red arrow there. On the top of every passage, regardless if it's a door, regardless if it's someone's house, we have a big neon ass sign saying this person's house, classroom, whatever. This is the gym. This is a library. It's going to be on every room. There's going to be a lot of information thrown at you, and you can turn it on or off by just simply pressing a button in your keyboard. Boop. Everything that we feel like it's quality of life things for the player, we have thought about it. We have added to Journey Abroad. There's going to be jobs, and you will have to do your job. You want to skip your job? Boom, you skipped your job. Oh, there's this fight that you need to do. What you want to skip it? Boom, got it. I want to be able to teleport directly to the mall. Boom, got it. We're going to add everything to the point of, if you just want to be clicking stuff and teleporting from here to there and whatever, my guy, 100%, we got you. We want to make the game enjoyable for people. We respect your time. We're going to add everything to the game. All of those little details. Oh, I got lost. No problem. Here's the map. Here's arrows everywhere telling you where you can walk inside or not. Here's location descriptions on top of the location, so you know everything is there. We're going to try and have the most information and facilitism to the game, to the point where I'd never feel lost. Imagine being in school and it's like, oh, which one is my classroom? And then you see like class 301, class 302, class 304, and you're like, what was mine again? Guess what? It's the one that has the fucking sign on top of it saying my classroom. And we're gonna have a quest log that it's gonna tell you you're lost your classroom. That's exactly where you need to go. So I think that those features are gonna speed up the early game, but you know, I want to make the game in general just an amazing experience. The story is great. It plays out slowly, but it's rich. It has great soundtrack. It is very immersive. The characters feel real. The entire happens progressively. You see the growth of your character not only in your stats but in your personality. You start gathering little bits of details and personality of the characters that you hang out with. A certain character uses an expression a lot of times. Suddenly your character is now using that expression. We want to make the game not only look very livid, but we also want to make things a lot easy. As rich as the game is, if you want to skip features because that's what you feel like and that's what you enjoy, my guy, we got you. There's a lot of features that we are adding to the game that, you know, a lot of people don't give a lot of credit or even consider or whatever, but I promise you we are trying to make a game that from the moment you sit down till the moment you put it down, you have an amazing experience. And if you don't, get on our Discord and tell us, hey guys, I didn't like this was the reason, and we will listen. I promise you we will listen. And if it's something that we see, it's like, oh yeah, we can see how that can become, you know, bothersome if you have to do it 3 or 4 or 5 times every week. We'll think of a way to make the game more enjoyable, because at the end of the day, that's our goal. That's the same thing we did with the Halloween patch. We wanted to make challenging puzzles, and people were like, come on guys, you're gatekeeping our anti. And I was like, okay, Isaac, stop. We need to make this, you know, make this playable, okay? People are having a hard time. We're going to do the same in Journey Abroad. We don't want to give anyone a hard time to play their anti, at least not metaphorically. Anyway, yes, that was my rich white man laugh. At the end of the day, we just want people to have a good time. And I'm human. If my decision in this dilemma to take a slower approach, just because I'm the dev, what gives me the right to make that decision is because it's my game. But at the end of the day, I'm not being arrogant and saying my idea is better than your idea. It's just my idea. It's just my vision. But what I can promise you is that I will not slow burn the game just for it, the same as I won't just add gratuitous sex early game, everything happen everywhere all at once for no reason. I will be respectful of your time. I will make it that every patch is meaningful and the anti snowballs to the point where progressively start getting a lot more and more and more scenes. I'll give you my word, the same way I've given my word for 10 years. And sure, I might have came short of perfect quite a few times, but as much as I'm human in my flaws, I'm also honest, and I know that you guys know that. I will make a good game. Just give us a little time to prep the way for what we hope to be an amazing experience that we hope you guys are looking forward to, because we sure are. We are super excited to bring Journey Abroad to you guys, and we're also super excited to work on Bloodlust and the battle system and whatnot. And honestly, I'm sad that we have such a small team, because if you ask me, every game will be the size and the scope of Fleeting Iris, with a bunch of anti-scenes and a big world and very rich and a lot of soundtrack, and we'd be working on every single one of these games for 10 whole years. I would love to do that, but I'm 40. If I keep doing this, you will not see the end of it. I will die first. But at the end of the day, guys, just give me a little bit of, just trust me on this. This is not going to be a complete shift. This is not going to be okay, this first game was this, now let's completely shift. It's a sequel. All of this is still Evan Studios Trust in our vision. It might not be the best vision, but we will find a way to deliver nonetheless. That's all I wanted to say. I appreciate you guys once more for showing up. As usual, you guys are fucking awesome. And it's so good to fucking turn on the stream and see the same names and new names every week on the podcast. It's really a joy. It's like going to a bar and finding my friends there. You guys are my cheers. You guys are my friends. You guys are my How I Met Your Mother. It's fucking awesome every single week, and I appreciate you guys so much for it. I hope you guys have a nice week. I hope you guys have, as usual, a lot of love, a lot of health, and a lot of fortune. And I'll see you guys next week. Daniel, when I was a kid, it was Dragon Ball, but I just realized that anime has horrible pacing. I will still look at it from nostalgia goggles. I think Naruto was like minus the fillers. I think Naruto was the best anime until the Great Ninja War, and after that it kind of like, what the fuck is this piece of shit, you know, when you know what I'm talking about. I loved Kuroko no Basket, and the anime that I liked the most in recent times was Solo Leveling. That's a little extra for you guys. Thank you so much for being here another week. I'll see you guys next week. Remember, if the game gets released on Wednesday, the podcast will be moved to Thursday. Meanwhile, if you guys want to give us feedback about the information on this podcast, or Fleeting Iris or Fleeting Iris EF, about the Christmas patch, about the Shota patch, what you liked, what you disliked, and what would you like to see in future games, this is serious. You can give us an opinion, and this shit might actually shape how Fleeting Iris is going to turn out. Sorry, Journey Abroad or Bloodlust, depending. Your opinion might matter. Your vision might become true. So do share with us. I know that a lot of people have a hard time speaking in public, but if you don't want to go to our channel and talk in the suggestion channel, open a private message with me and talk directly with me. I'm all open, and I will keep our conversation in private. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing week. Love you all. Take care.
Okite, wakari, ne, boshitata. Omoidashita no wa kimi no koto desu.